going on, guys? Colt Mosdef here, and I am with
Tommy Lautenheiser.
guys. This is one of our first podcasts. I'm excited for this,
First
bro.
one. I'm pumped, bro.
I know
We've been
because
talking this up all week.
yeah, I know you guys
Like
see.
hyped.
Yeah, dude, a lot of you see the short form content on Instagram and TikTok, and they don't really get to hear from our heart and
Yeah.
how we like perceive the world as men. So I'm excited about this, and I think the way that I want to do this is, dude, let's just like tell them our story. Facts tell stories. So I want to let these people know like who we are, and so they can relate to us a little bit more. So you want me to start, or you want to start?
Go for it.
Oh, all right.
After you.
So most of you know who I am. I've been trading for the past 10 years. I do futures trading. So I trade indexes like US 30, NAS 100, the Dow Jones. But bro, my story is crazy. I'm 27 years old right now. March 5th, I'm about to be 28. But 10 years ago when I was 17, that's when I like got into this whole trading space and stuff. And when I started, I was like a problem child growing up, always getting in trouble, had like a problem with drinking, smoking, partying. Like, dude, I would sneak out of my dad's house just to go party. Like, it's horrible. But there was this 1 month when I was 17, a junior in high school, where I got caught for having alcohol at school. I had a little plastic water bottle. I got caught for having alcohol at school, got suspended. And then I got caught a week after that for having alcohol at the beach. And then a week after that, I got caught for shoplifting, trying to steal shoes. And I never really understood that every single decision I was making, it wasn't just affecting my life, but it was affecting the people around me that I loved, my dad. And that night that I got caught for shoplifting, it was this one sentence that changed everything for me. And my older brother had to pick me up. And I'm so grateful to have an older brother because they instill wisdom and knowledge, and they've gone through all the BS that we would go through. And my older brother, he simply said, he's like, Colt, you need to understand that your actions aren't just affecting your life and where you're going to be, but you're slowly but surely killing our father from all the stress you're putting in his life. And that hit me like a train, knowing that everything that I was doing was like affecting the man that I respect the most, I loved. I didn't have a mom in my life growing up. She chose to do drugs and be a degenerate and leave me and my sister when we were younger. So was my dad. And I just felt so much guilt and shame knowing that I was hurting someone that truly wanted the best for me. He was taking care of 4 kids, working day and night to make sure that everything's good. And we had a beautiful, beautiful life, which, Dad, if you're watching this, I love you so much. And I'm so happy to have you in my life. And you have given me so much love and helped me as a man gain humility and knowledge and strength. And you've introduced me to my Heavenly Father, Dad. Like, my dad, I'm so happy he brought me closer to God all throughout my childhood. But long story made longer, bro. Basically, when I was 17, I got to that breaking point. And the night that I got caught for shoplifting, I had to go back to my dad's house. And I remember going to my dad's house or my dad's room that night, and I knocked on his door. And he's like, come in. And I was like, as soon as I got into my dad's room, he was already standing up. And I just walked up to him and I hugged him as hard as I could. And I was bawling my eyes out. And I told him, I made him this promise. I said, Dad, I promise that I am never going to be this man again. I am going to change my ways and become a better man so I can be better for you. And that was the night that shifted everything. And the next morning I asked my dad, I was like, what can I do to gain back your trust? What can I do to just show you that I'm serious about this? And that's when he was like, dude, go look for work. So what do? I look for work. I went to like grocery stores, retail stores to try and find a job. And I ended up trying to get a job at Rouse. You know Rouse, the grocery store.
Yeah.
So
commercial grocery store chain.
yeah. So I went in there, tried to get a job, and I failed the drug test because I had weed in my system at the time. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Like, I can't find a job anywhere. And luckily, it's so funny, but you know Craigslist, right?
Yeah.
So back in the day, I used to like sell iPods and stuff on Craigslist, scooters. And I was like, dude, I'm going to go on Craigslist. I'm going to put an ad. And I put an ad on Craigslist that said, I need a job ASAP. And through that ad on Craigslist, I get a call from this guy named Marvin Jones. He's like, Cole, I saw your ad on Craigslist. Like, I could help you out with work. And immediately me having this massive ego, but a small bank account, I was like, oh, this is a scam. Like everyone sees on the internet, things are a scam. And I get it. I was very hesitant. But what I really respected about Marvin is he was very persistent. He kept calling me day in and day out, trying to like show me that he was serious about what he had to offer. So I was like, do you know what? This guy's going to not stop calling me if I either block his number or I go down to the corporate office and see what they have going on. And it was me, my dad, and my buddy Cole. We go down to this corporate office to learn about their company. The company was UA, and they basically sold this device. It's called a U-Box. It's like a little square device, like a Fire Stick. Same thing as a Fire Stick. You plug into your TV. It runs off Wi-Fi. You can watch any movie, TV show, movies in theaters, pay-per-view events with a one-time fee of $400, and then you have access like for life. You
wow.
have the device. Yeah, so it's pretty sick. But
Yeah, especially for the time too.
yeah, so I got involved in that company. My dad was all over it. He was like, "What? This is awesome! Like you finally have work, something to do." I was like, yeah, so I ended up getting involved in the company, started learning about sales, marketing, how to brand myself, started networking with multi-millionaires that were already in the company. Like I got really close to the people in the company because my boy Tyree, if you're watching this, my freaking day one Tyree, he was the same age as me. He was 17 at the time. And I heard about Tyree through the guy Marvin Jones. They gave us a presentation. He's like, yeah, my nephew in the company, he's 17. He's like making $10,000 a month. I was like 17 years old making $10,000 a month. Like how? So I ended up like doing the thing in the company, started like selling, promoting it. And I eventually met Tyree one day at one of their offices. I was like, hey, you're Tyree, right? He's like, yeah. I was like, yo, I'm Colt, bro. Like, I've heard all about you. Like, I just wanted to say what up. And he's like, awesome. Let me get your number. And we connected. And then like 3 days later, dude, me growing up, I grew up in like a median income home. Like we had a very nice life. I'm not going to lie, but I wasn't like poor, but I wasn't rich. And I remember Tyree one day, he called me up. He's like, yo, do you want to like pull up to the crib and hang out? It's like, sure. So I get in an Uber and I pull up like 10 minutes away from my dad's house. There's these hills, Cowan Heights in Orange County in Tustin.
Yeah, it's just baller.
Yeah, so like that's where all like the rich people lived and stuff. So I ended up pulling up to this massive white mansion. And if you guys go to my Instagram, one of the very first posts, you guys will see me standing in the driveway with like, I think the Sprinter van, the Ferrari, and the S550. And I pull up to this freaking white mansion, bro. I'm like, what the hell? Like, is this the right house? There's a Ferrari California S550, the Mercedes Sprinter van. There's like a couple other whips in the driveway. I was like, dude, this can't be it. I called Tyree. I was like, yo, I think I'm outside, bro. And he's like, all right. Like, and then he opens the front door and it's him. He's like, come in. I was like, oh shit. Like I had never been around that type of money and been in a mansion like that. So it's super brand new for me. But I ended up connecting with Tyree, and dude, I'm so blessed for Tyree because Tyree's dad was a vice president of the company UA. So his dad was balling, like it was all his dad's stuff, but still his son was making money as well with like putting in the work. So I ended up getting involved with Tyree and his dad loved me, bro. We would hang out literally every day. We were just grinding together. I was learning from a multi-millionaire, like the ways of life and how to be a businessman, all about entrepreneurship and everything. And one thing that I love though is they brought me so much closer to God because I grew up in a Mormon household. You know what Mormons are, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, Mormons are super strict, like can't drink caffeine, no drinking alcohol, no smoking, none of that, super strict. So once I did like start getting involved in business and stuff, I kind of like strayed away from God, but they brought me back into like Christianity and getting close with God. But long story, after I got into like the entrepreneur side things, side of things and started doing sales, Tyree one day, he pulls up Instagram and he shows me like these people on Instagram. He's like, dude, look at this guy, these guys in Miami. And they were actually one of my mentors, like Julian Kushner and Nick Gomez. These were my mentors and Tyree that got me involved in trading. So Tyree's like, dude, look at these guys' Instagrams. They're on PJs, like living the life that I'm living now.
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell are they doing? He's like, bro, they're trading forex. I was like, bro, I don't have anything for my ex. What are you talking about? I was like, no. He's like, bro,
Oh, your ex, yeah.
forex, like it's foreign exchange. I was like, what's that? He's like, dude, it's trading like currencies off your phone in the stock market. I was like, interesting. So we end up getting involved in a company, a multi-level marketing company called Wealth Generators.
Mhm.
And it was basically like, I recruit you, you recruit
Yeah.
people, and we're still learning how to trade and stuff. But ideally, I was more so focused on like the recruiting aspect because it was like all hype. They would hype it up, bro. Like that's how everyone made their money.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like recruiting people, built a really good team, made some money from the actual business side and then trading. And then this is like my first massive failure I had. So it was like me on the top, then I had three people, and then they had their
Yeah.
downlines, right?
Yeah.
And I had one of my top three people, Chris Sosa, rest in peace. I'll tell you guys a story right now, but me and Chris were like building this business together, and we kind of had like a fallout. There was something that happened, but I remember getting a call one night from one of his people, Liam, on his downline. He's like, yo, did you hear what happened to Chris? I was like, no, what happened? He's like, bro, Chris was killed last night, bro. Like he was drinking and he ran into the street and got hit by a car, and he was dragged under the car for like 10 minutes. And when they found out, the driver didn't know that someone was under the fucking car, like
That's horrible.
so sad, bro.
Yeah.
And I remember like being on that call, like crying just because you never know what you have until it's gone.
Yeah.
And
100%.
I had to lose someone that I really appreciated to be able to say, do you know what? Like maybe I should treat the people better in my life around me.
Yeah.
But he was pronounced dead on the way to the hospital, and I lost someone that was very important to me. My business kind of fell apart from there. Luckily, I had made money from the business and trading. I was like, do you know what? I'm going to take this trading stuff extremely seriously. And this was like when I was like just turning 18. And I was like, okay, let's do this. What do I need to do? And I found a mentor online. I paid him $10,000 to learn about trading, his strategy. And at 19 years old, I hit a six-figure income, was making $10,000 a month, started living my dream lifestyle, driving exotic cars, going to the nicest dinners. I remember we always would eat dinner at home, like pre-made meals and like not the best stuff, but I like started going to the nicest restaurants and stuff simply because I decided I wanted to take my life more seriously.
Yeah.
I made the fucking decision and the investment into myself, and I said, I'm going to make this happen no matter what. Now being 27 years old, I've been living this crazy life for 10 years, but I don't want you guys to look at this and say, oh, he's just talking shit. He has an LV sweater on, like, and that stuff. Really, what I value as a man is who I've become right now, because you have to become the individual before the result.
Oh, 100%.
If you want to become a millionaire,
Yeah.
you have to act as if you already are a millionaire,
100%.
and then the results are eventually going to
Yeah.
become.
Dude, so true.
Yeah.
My habit, I don't even think any of my like daily habits have changed from went from nothing to 10K a month to beyond that. Like it's the same habits. Like you have to be the person first. So agree with you on that.
Yeah. And one thing, if you guys don't know, information is what changes one situation. When you start working on yourself and you put in the work, then you're going to start living a different lifestyle. So that's pretty much like my story, how I got involved. Obviously, throughout the years, I've had like my downfalls and stuff happen, but dude, I'm just like every single one of you. We're human, just like every one of you watching this. We have the same 24 hours in a day. It's just, how bad do you want it?
Yeah.
Because some people want it better than others, and that's why they get the result. So you can't complain and envy us or look at other people on the internet and be like, why do they have that? Fuck them. It's like, dude, they just put in the work.
Put in the work.
Yep. And
Yeah.
that's why when we dive deeper into this podcast, guys, I'm going to give you guys some massive gems to help you get started. If you're really at that point where you're lost and you're stuck right now, good. That is a vital time in your life. A seed grows in darkness, but once that seed breaks through the soil, it becomes this magnificent plant and it sprouts these flowers and becomes absolutely beautiful. So if you're going through those dark times in your life right now, appreciate it. You need to, because that's what builds humility, and character at the end of the day, is these dark times that you go through.
So true. I so agree with that. Man, you're bringing me to tears with that story, bro. That's deep, man. It's super inspirational. I had
Dude,
no idea about any of that with like growing up and stuff, but that's beautiful. Like how you like went through all that
Yeah.
and like one revelation kind of led to the other. That's awesome.
Yeah, bro,
Yeah.
it's crazy how it all started, but I can just say thank you, Heavenly Father, for all that you've done in my life. I would not be here without my Heavenly Father, and I know you guys probably see me online, and you're like, "This is some just rich guy trying to flex." Like, dude, I would not be here without the connection I made, my Heavenly Father, and just me putting in the work. And we all have the ability to become the best versions of ourselves already within us. It's just the belief. Do you truly believe that you are capable of being the best version of you?
Yeah.
Do you? Because if you can't believe in yourself, nobody can believe in you, bro. And that's facts.
So true.
Yeah.
So true.
What's your
Dude,
story,
I guess
bro?
just to kind of get into mine. So, I grew up in San Diego. I I had a great childhood growing up. I
Mm,
had parents who I'm just so beyond blessed to have,
yeah.
and I feel like really early on, like even in high school,
Yeah.
I always kind of had this like lingering fear of like just like the just like the normality life path. Like there was never a time in my life where I wanted to work like a normal job or anything like that. And I feel like that's such a, everyone says it like, oh, I'm so anti 9 to 5. Like, not so much that. It was that I just wanted to do something um that I knew would add to the world. I think that was like my biggest thing. So when I was younger, I really wanted to go into the Coast Guard. That was like my dream when I was a kid. That was my like, I want to be an astronaut story. Then, as I started to go through high school, I really fell in love with like medical stuff. I became an EMT when I was 18.
Wow.
So I started working in like hospitals and working as a ocean lifeguard, which was pretty cool. And that was like growing up, I had always done like junior lifeguard summer camp. So lifeguarding was like my passion at the time. Um, and I became a lifeguard at 18, EMT at 18. I started just working on, in the medical field. And it was a really eye awakening experience. I mean, like going through like literally like people dying in front of you, like at 18 is like a pretty
Wow.
crazy thing. And like, but there was also the flip side of that of like, like I've had people that have like passed away in front of me that I've been working on like as an EMT, but there's also people that have been dead and we've done stuff like, and as an EMT, I've been able to like bring them back. And now that person gets to walk the entire rest of their life. And I think that is like the coolest thing on the planet. So that was like my version of like adding a lot of just value to the world. And I felt amazing about that when I was in high school and in college. My first year of college, went to a school called Point Loma Nazarene here in San Diego. I kept working there, and I slowly really started to realize like, wow, like I love this so much more than I love college. And I was studying marketing. And quite frankly, I was like, wow, like I didn't know what to do because I felt so fulfilled lifeguarding and so, you know, just genuinely like this is, I love helping people. I love adding value. I love feeling like every day when I wake up and go do my thing for work that like I'm putting something back into the world.
Mm,
And I just felt called by God to do that. And I would say I slowly started to kind of get this anxiety like the longer I was in college for. Um, because I just like for some reason I knew it wasn't like there was an elephant in the room of like, what am I gonna do? It was like down the hallway of like I was gonna have to eventually go down there and like face it. But like I had a couple years to where I could just push it aside and I wouldn't have to think about it. I would have to like, you know, um deal with it yet that like I would have to go work a normal job in an office, marketing, stuff like that.
mm,
And eventually I got so stressed out about that to the point where I was like, I just need to like take a break from 4 year. And I went and I went to community college for a semester just to like take a break from the 4 year. And I was going to transfer back. That was kind of my plan. Just take a little bit of like an easier break, transfer my credits over, and just think. And at that point, I had started to kind of want to become a paramedic, started wanting to like work in ambulances and stuff like that. And I just started to kind of do a little bit more stuff down that road. But it all kind of led back to the same place of like, yes, it's very fulfilling. But at the same time, I felt like there was another elephant in the room with that path that like I think one of the other most fulfilling things you can do is, start a family and raise, I really wanted to be, a father and raise a kid and, just with the values I have an amazing family here in San Diego. And the reality was that like where the path I was going on, I wouldn't be able to like support that. And as much as I loved it, I wanted to figure out a way where I could still have that fulfillment, but also be able to financially support a family, have the freedom to go have experiences in the world with them to where, if it was a random Tuesday, I don't have to go clock into the office, I can go travel. And I remember one day when I was in community college, I just slowly started thinking about entrepreneurship. I slowly started thinking about businesses, about how I could start something. And I eventually just started trying things. I just started throwing stuff at the wall. The first thing I ever did, I started trying to be like a fitness influencer. I saw these guys on YouTube at the time crushing it, like with
Yeah.
fitness influencing, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. So I started trying to do that. I started making YouTube videos. I learned how to edit. I learned just like stuff like that, and it all flopped.
Yeah.
But it was kind of the first, like, okay, like this is the cycle. You wake up, you work on what you're passionate about, you go to bed, you do that every single day. It taught me a little bit about the work cycle of how to like pursue something. Then I started trying to, I went through my drop shipping phase. I started trying to get
Yeah.
into drop shipping. And at that point, I just lined up with the time where I had to go check in with my counselor at my community college and figure out, like, okay, what do you want to do to about like moving forward? And they told me, I was under the impression I had to do a semester of community and then I could transfer back. They told me that with the credit situation, I wouldn't be able to transfer back in until 2026.
Wow.
So keep in mind, this is 2023, by the way.
Yeah.
So like even now in like what's it, like February 2025, like that's still a crazy timeline. But back then it was like, I was like, what? Um, so I had a decision there. I was like, I can leave community college and I can leave college and figure something out, or I can stay in college and just have this constant like just fear and wondering like what would have happened had I just tried. Like that was my
Mhm.
biggest fear though. Is I was like, I don't want to live in regret. So I decided at that point, I was like, I'm gonna take some time off college and I'm just gonna try. Um Shortly after I realized like drop shipping, it wasn't really the route I wanted to go down. I didn't really feel like I was doing something. And then I slowly started to figure out what copywriting was. Like writing emails for businesses, writing ads for businesses. And I kind of, as the more I started to do it, I was like, oh, well, like this could be a really cool venture. Like my passion for helping people, like I could, help other people achieve their dreams of, scaling their business to certain goals and being entrepreneurs themselves through my services that I was offering. And I remember I just started reaching out to people that I knew. And this is actually really funny because you know him, Jason Stewart was the
Mhm.
first person I ever did like any sort of copy work for. I like wrote some ads for his car rental company, and I had a camera. I was like, dude, let's go shoot these. So we went and we shot him in Coronado, and that was like my first copywriting client experience, like shooting ads. And I started slowly kind of getting into like the filming aspect of it a little bit. Um, and just literally just at this point, I was doing anything I could just to like be around people that I knew could propel me forward. And one day I was just having a text with my buddy um, from PLNU. And I was telling him kind of what I was doing with copywriting. He's like, dude, you should check out this guy on TikTok who I've been watching a lot. His name's Cardinal Mason. And I was like, bet, like, I'll go. He posts copywriting content.
Mhm.
I go over to TikTok, I start watching his stuff, and I really, really liked it. I loved his free YouTube videos. I started to learn a lot. And he had a mentorship program at the time when I was in school. And I had like just paused. I had about like $4,000 in savings, roughly 4,100,
Mhm.
um, and I was just like, and I ended up showing up to one of his classes. I really liked it. I was like, this is exactly what I need, is like this, investment in myself to like get this information. Um, and I ended up uh, booking a call, bought the mentorship that day, and actually I think it was like a week process because I think I didn't have enough. I had to like I like booked a call and I had to like wait to get paid to join it.
Yeah.
And when I joined, and I have no shame saying this on the internet now because I always try to push the message that like the financial risk of investing in yourself isn't a risk. Like if you throw a bunch of money into a mentorship program, it's like if you actually apply it, that is not a risk whatsoever. You're going to make that back if you apply yourself. So I had like $32 in my bank account when
Yeah.
I bought that mentorship. Like I was dead broke. Um, but it, in a way, it put my back against the wall. Like, okay, now you really got to do this because now you have no money. You're not in
No
school,
backup plan.
but you have all the resources to go like make it happen. Um, and from there, I just started trying to get clients. I hit up everybody that I knew in person. I figured like, okay, the people that I know in my contacts list, that is going to be my in. I'm going to get like a case study and I can leverage that. And that's what I always try to tell people. If you're starting a service-based business, Stop trying to do cold outreach right away. Hit up everyone in your contacts list first. Get some free experience for people that know you, and then go do cold outreach. So that's what I did. I hit up everybody, ended up getting some work done for like a gym clothing brand. Used that work experience, and I think like 2 months later, I signed my first couple paid clients, and I was making like 3,500, an extra 3,500 bucks a month on top of lifeguarding.
Wow,
So that
that's
dude, that
great.
that's the richest I've ever felt in my entire life, and I think it still is like that first initial boost of like you get like the first taste of online money, and you're like, oh whoa, like this is crazy. You just feel like Bill Gates, just like with your you don't really have to look at the bill when you buy coffee and stuff like that. Um, and I just started. I literally every single day after that, after I got those couple clients, was literally just building, building, building every single day. Um, and I was quite frankly just like showing up, same routine, dialed in. And I eventually just started to get more momentum, gain more clients. And it took me, you know, a year to really start to pop off with it.
Yeah,
But looking back on it, like all those hard days, all those days I was staring at something, wondering if it was going to work, it's like it was all worth it because of that. And like I wouldn't be sitting here had it not been for like just those initial risks that I took in the beginning and that initial like leap of faith just to trust yourself. And I think that's the biggest thing that it comes down to. And the amazing cool thing now is like very occasionally, sometimes like obviously with my schedule, like I have a crazy schedule right now. Like I can't do it a whole lot, but like, you know, maybe once every 3 months, like I'll still go back and do like a shift lifeguarding just because I love I love the memories. I love being able to like help people. And it's still kind of like that, a little bit of like, different type of fulfillment from my past of being able to still go do that. So such a
yeah,
blessing. And I think every decision was just like God speaking to me, like, you need to do this, you need to do this. And like, I always felt like when I was, you know, like debating leaving school and stuff, I always felt like God was pushing me towards that, pushing me towards leaving. And I just trusted him every single way, every single decision. I was like, God, I trust you. Like, I don't know your plan for me, but I know you have one. And I trust that.
mm,
Just kept following it. And now we're here. So
you know,
yeah, man.
it's crazy because there's like a major differentiating factor between the people that do invest in themselves
Yeah.
and don't. And the whole point of getting a mentor is just to 10x your learning curve so they can show you what works
Yeah.
and what doesn't work so you don't have to make those same mistakes that they did. And a lot of people nowadays, I'm going to give you guys a little analogy.
Yeah. Let's hear it.
If I were to go and sit with you and play video games for an hour, 2 hours, at the end of those 2 hours, you wouldn't say, hey, you just wasted 2 hours of my time. But if you had $20 in your hand and I ran up and took it out of your hand and ran the other way, oh my gosh, you'd be chasing me down the street trying to kill me. And that's what I don't understand is how do people not value the time when time doesn't come back? But when it comes to money, they're so frugalist about it and they want to
Yeah.
hold on to it. And
Yep.
that's a mindset of lack when God has already instilled a mindset of abundance within every single one of us. You're supposed to be rich. You're supposed to be living a life of peace, happiness, joy, experiencing the highest frequencies of life. But so many people cut themselves short because they aren't in alignment with who they should be and who God has called
Yeah.
them to be already.
Yeah.
So when it comes to a mentor, I don't want you guys to frown upon looking at getting a mentor. It's like, oh, this person, I have to pay them. It's like, dude, they're gonna literally 10x your whole entire timeline. And instead of you trying to do it on your own and wasting 5 years, you can learn everything within 5 days.
That's why, dude, I hate the argument of like people being like, oh, all that information is free online. I hate that argument because it doesn't make any sense. Like, you're gonna tell me you're gonna want to go like, not saying it's not necessarily like possible, but like, it's like if you want to be, you'll be 10 steps behind if you would have invested. Like,
Yeah.
always if you try to just do it free because there's no organization. You can't go on YouTube and just know exactly what to look for step by step for starting anything. Trading, copywriting. You can't just go on YouTube and be like, "Oh, okay, this is what I need to learn first. This is what I need to learn first." When I first bought like in a Mason's program, I was astonished with like how organized everything was because I was like, "Oh, like these are the steps I needed to take." I had a roadmap. That is the most important thing is you need to get that roadmap because at the end of the day, when you're brand new to anything, all you have is your work ethic. You don't have the information yet. So if you can get the information, you can get the roadmap, then your work ethic is what's going to take you along that roadmap and actually like get the results. But if you try to write the roadmap yourself, it's like, well, how are you going to do that? You haven't done the thing that you're trying to accomplish, you know?
Mhm.
So that's like the biggest thing I feel like is you need that guidance.